Good afternoon, Antrim County. This is Veterans Voice Podcast with your host, Matt, Brennan, and Carrie. What's going on, dude?
This guy. Him and his elbows.
So Friday.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a good week, though. Kept us pretty busy throughout the entire time, so that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And the weather, my goodness.
Yeah.
It's a breath of fresh air.
What?
The sun? Are you talking about the sun or the weather we had?
No, the sun.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that it's warming up.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to get like some thunderstorms tonight or something like that, right?
Yeah, they said something about severe weather or something like that, but I don't know if it's really going to affect us.
We got a lot of rain last night. I did at my house.
Did you?
Raining pretty hard. Might have been thunderstorm. I slept really good though, so
That's what we need is a
that's
good
what always
thunderstorm.
happens when it storms.
Yeah. You said it got up to like 65 or something like that at your place?
Yesterday. Yep. It was nice.
It's almost time to start going swimming.
It is.
Right.
One of my friends went in already.
Matt, you know how to swim?
Oh, yeah. They have to. Navy.
No.
You have to be a second-class swimmer to graduate boot camp.
Second class?
I don't know what that
Oh.
means.
Yeah, that's funny.
What are those standards?
Military grade. That's what I always
funny.
say. It's fun watching people
You can
struggle
dog
though in
putt.
boot camp, trying to get through it.
Because we grew up here.
Yeah.
All of us, at least, have been around the water a lot. And I think about that sometimes. I'm like, you grow up in the water, basically. And you just, that's normal to you to know how to swim. And then you get in and you're like, wait, you don't know how to swim? Like, all these little, it's kind of.
They're like landlocked people like Iowa,
Yeah.
or, people that are, I'm sure there's lakes and stuff in Iowa, but
Yeah.
you could tell like the difference between where they came from and.
Or just city, too.
Yeah, if they're
Yeah.
inner city kind of stuff, there's maybe a pool around maybe, but that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Every time you say that, I think about like next Friday.
Oh.
And Craig
The
goes to
movie.
his uncle's house, and the pool's like just drained.
Oh.
It's a nice pool. I don't ever swim. Never had.
Too.
It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So, anyways, guess we got a short one today. We just want to make sure we get on here and keep chatting and stuff. So, I'm doing it in the morning too. A little different.
Yeah. Yeah. We're open until noon today, so
Good Friday.
sneak it in. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Should be a fun weekend too. You guys got any plans?
Yard work. That's going to be my next answer for like the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we do have to get Easter eggs colored tonight. So,
There you go. That'd be fun.
and then of course family dinner on Sunday. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
What you got going on?
Probably going over to my parents, ride around on the property. I don't think there'll be any of the wild leeks out yet. It's been too cold, but I'm gonna see if those are coming up yet.
yeah,
Probably May. Usually in May whenever the morels come up.
Yeah.
They have a good amount of them though there. So
I can't wait for trillium season. I always love that.
Yeah.
Seeing all the white flowers in the woods.
yeah, when the deer don't eat them all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
heck yeah.
Yep. And then Easter time.
You guys ready for it?
No.
For Easter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I gotta put some candy and eggs for the kids, but yeah.
We got the eggs all stuffed and the baskets made. We just got to get them hidden on the morning and stuff like that.
That's good.
Brooklyn gets a big girl basket this year.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the difference of big girl versus little girl?
Size, I suppose.
Yeah.
And the,
Okay.
And the characters that are on it.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
she'll probably still need some help getting or finding them,
Yeah.
So,
That'd be fun.
but we got a whole lot of woods to hide them in now. That's just
Nice. Yep.
we can gauge the difficulty and tell them where they got to go find them per age group they're in. All 15 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Fun.
To do an adult Easter egg thing.
that's what I'm saying. I probably should throw something out there for Kelly.
Yep.
Right.
Some
But I'm gonna
shooter
make it
bottles.
something real. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what my
Not
parents
to-
are doing. They're doing the adult Easter egg hunt after the kids or something. I don't know what my parents got planned, but it'll be fun.
Maybe that's what I'll do. Like, I'll swing by the store today and grab like a certain type of eggs.
Yep.
And do it for Kelly and Kirsten and her husband AJ.
There you go.
You know.
Yeah.
Be like, y'all gotta go find these now, and then have like little bottles or
Yeah.
you know, or you know, whatever else kind of adult stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, but then you have to do it like at a different time, because Lord help me
Oh,
if one of the other kiddos find it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Look
I
what
want
I
that.
found.
It's
This
candy.
Oh, that's a mini shooter of Jack Daniels.
No kidding.
But
That's
you
what I
remember,
was thinking.
you remember those little juice bottles, right?
Oh, the tubs.
Like
Yeah,
they're only
the
like this
little-
big, but it had like
Oh.
that little candy syrup that you bite the
Oh,
wax.
like the wax ones?
Yeah, so you bite the
Yeah.
wax top off, and then you drink that syrup, and then you can eat
Yeah.
it and whatnot.
Oh yeah. God, they still make those?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Holy crap. Yeah, it was all wax though, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And some just
It's gross.
flavored dye goo.
But as a kid, you know you were completely into it, just like
Mm-hmm.
the wax mouths, or you know,
Oh,
Oh, the
yeah.
wax lips.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. My God, how are we still alive?
Yeah, the amount of crap that we've eaten.
Yeah, that's why we're not affected by the GMOs and everything. Because all the other stuff was experimental.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I feel like our generations were definitely on the cusp of the crap food.
Hamburger helper,
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh, we were talking about that the other day too. The
I still like
differences
that.
and stuff.
chow mein from a can.
Oh my God.
Gross.
I forgot about that stuff. Yeah, it does kind of funky taste, doesn't it? It's weird.
Remember my mom being like, "Oh yeah, you like this stuff." I'm like, no, I don't.
You may think so.
It's like like that mind trick where they say you do and you believe them. Like, that's not gonna work.
But see here, then again, like my oldest daughter, she used to like tomatoes and love them and tomato paste and all that stuff. But
Yeah,
here she is now. I don't like tomatoes, and she's 23 years old.
isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Like,
It'll still change too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
like, darn it, I know what you used to eat.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But yeah. Anyways, I'll tell you one thing I'm seeing a lot of nowadays, you know, more often, especially with the rating decisions and the population coming in. You know, the three things that we need for a rating decision, a positive rating decision, you know, you need the nexus, the connection to service. You need
Right.
the official diagnosis, and I want to emphasize official diagnosis of it, right?
By a doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you need, you know, how it affects the veteran today. You need those effects and point those out and everything like that.
Yeah.
So those are the biggest things that we need when we're doing a VA claim in order to get a positive granting of it.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm seeing happen is, you know, veterans are receiving service, you know, and especially with the mental health, you know, they may be seeing a counselor for the condition, you know, but majority of these counselors are not able to provide an official diagnosis.
Yeah.
They can sit there and say, or, you know, provide, especially like on the VA healthcare side, right? You have what's called a trouble list, and they list out the conditions on that trouble list that the vet is going through or dealing with, right? But that's not an official diagnosis, you know?
Right.
And trying to explain that and getting some sort of understanding that, you know, yes, you're seeing a counselor, but according to the DSM-5, they cannot diagnose
Right.
that condition officially. Even though they're treating you for it, they are caring for you, they're helping you, you know, and that's what they're there for, you know.
Right.
It's just outside of that person's scope at that point in time of care.
Right.
You know, and that's why you have like your doctors, your doctor, your psychiatrist Van Knocker, Barger for this area. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the psychiatrists.
You know, they are able to diagnose officially.
Yeah, and they will usually say it to the veteran too, and that is helpful to keep that in mind. Like if someone has not told you, like you have this is what's going on, then I mean, just if it's any help to our veterans to know that. Don't just assume that because you're getting therapy through a social worker that's licensed to listen to you and talk to you and help you cope, that doesn't mean it's the diagnosis.
And they do good,
Yeah,
right? They absolutely do. And they are definitely there to assist and help help us,
right.
And all the veterans and everything like that. And they'll do everything they can to assist in any kind of, way possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, the follow on, and some certain veterans, find that like a difficult step. There's a blockage there that I don't really want to necessarily have to go to that psychiatrist, or I don't necessarily want to.
Yeah.
I'm getting treated for it and everything like that.
Right.
And they're doing what they need to do for themselves, which is great. They're receiving the care. But there's there's a void where there's a misconception where I'm receiving the care for this condition, but the VA is not recognizing.
Yeah.
The VBA, Veterans Benefit Administration, is not going to service connected, unless there's an actual official diagnosis.
Yeah. And then too, I noticed that, yes, we're here to, we'll listen to what's going on and how stuff affects you to do your claim, but we are not licensed therapists or, to help talk over the issues. So I know, sometimes I have to say, okay, I can hear you, what happened to you, I understand, and how it affects you, but I can't give you counseling about it. And sometimes we have people come in that want to keep talking, and it's like, hey, we've got limited time to get this claim started and get the facts down, and I don't ever mean to be, to try to stop somebody, but that's when I'll say, hey, we need to get you to talk to somebody. We can give you the direction to where to go. So that's kind of hard sometimes with this job too. Yeah. Because we want to listen and we want to help.
But we can't give advice.
We can't. And
only claim.
And also we're so limited on what, our time to get these claims done, and we have a lot to do, and we want to help everybody, use their time effectively, I guess. So that's kind of hard sometimes because we want to sit and listen and help you through it. But it is good to get the picture of how it affects the veteran, for sure.
Yeah, and that's why we do that stressor statement, right?
Right, yeah.
And, we're in a good position here because all three of us have served. We've all been deployed. And we understand that lifestyle, and it helps the vet to open up. And, as they're sharing their story, that's our chance as VSOs to be able to pick out, okay, so you had this experience, you remember seeing this. Well, often I hear about this other condition being, connected with this experience.
Right.
Whether that's mental health, or whether it's physical, or whether it's the illnesses or anything like that. As we're listening to these stories or, their experiences, that's our chance to start recognizing those points in the conversation and pulling those back to be able to come to them, and hopefully triggering a memory, or yeah, I was diagnosed with this back when I was either in the service or just after, or recently, but it may be on the presumptive list,
Right.
So I believe wholeheartedly, yes, we have to be able to manage our time, but
Yeah.
it's great that they open up, and
Yeah.
trust us to be able to open up and talk. And that's our opportunity to hopefully pull out that information where the vet doesn't even think about it,
Oh yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
and doesn't understand what, that could have been related or service connected, or, it affects them in a certain way because they've been dealing with it for so long. It just became a part of life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I personally, I don't believe it's anything that we want to stop happening.
No.
We want to encourage them to keep talking, especially, and that's why we are who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've all been there. We've all served, and that commonality helps build up the trust and rapport in order for vets to open up. Because honestly, how often do they open?
Yeah.
How often do they get somebody to talk to about that has understood and been there, in their daily life?
That's a rare
Yeah.
thing, really.
You know.
I mean,
It is.
unless they have another vet friend that they talk to on a
Yep.
day-to-day basis, or a
And-
battle buddy or something.
And they'll often say, like, I have never talked about this.
Yes.
I've heard that multiple times.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's when I want to say, well, we want you to get diagnosed. That's why,
Yeah.
I wanted them to know, like, even though you're telling us this, like, yeah, you need that diagnosis. And so that's why we're not ever trying to, like, discourage you from telling us, but we also want you to go further. And it's hard sometimes to go and get that help, or to tell the stories again when you've never talked about it till here. And then you're like, oh man, I gotta go talk about it again.
Right.
But I want to make sure they do, and I don't want them to almost like burn out from talking about it and then not go do that step, because that's happened. And we're just trying to do the best we can. We don't ever want to, we never want to say, don't tell us this stuff or anything like that. But
And the nice
Yeah.
thing is, as they're, talking to us, we know where to go and how to get it completed. Right? We can point them in the right direction.
yeah,
Well, I think we got your appointment.
Okay, and that's what we're here for. So
right.
Yeah.
And then we've got the good, we've got some social workers that we, sometimes people are nervous about going to them. And we have to sometimes reassure them, like, hey, we know them and they're good. Like, this happened the other day. Like, you can go to them. So
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny, too, talking to Brandon this morning about, like, Daryl over at Gaylord,
Yeah.
CBOC and stuff. Like, I use him as a counselor and stuff, and we were kind of making that same, basically, Daryl's a combat vet, just like a lot of us. Not everybody's a combat vet,
Right.
but it's so relatable talking to him because he's been there, done that. He's been deployed, and now he's on the other side. So it's like kind of like what we're doing. I think it's awesome that when you can find VSOs that are veterans, it's a lot easier. I don't know about the compassion. Sometimes I always wonder, are the civilian VSOs a lot nicer or whatever?
Well,
but,
yeah, because sometimes, like the other day, and I, like I told one of my veterans, I'm like, hey, listen, we got an hour. We got to, like, I hear what you're saying, but I was like, you can share what you've got to share, but we've got to get this part done, and then you're going to go to, they already had an appointment with a social worker, and so, I'm not trying to, like, I'll just say, hey, I'm not trying to, be mean or, not care, because I care.
Right.
That's why I want to get this done efficiently while also letting you know that I do care. Like, I'm not trying to ever brush off anything.
Right.
And like this person can listen to more of what you got going on,
Mm-hmm.
and that's qualified to like help you manage and cope with it. So, because sometimes it does get really, it just depends on the person, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a weird experience with the VA's mental health as far as like trying to find a good person,
Yeah.
a good fit. Like in Florida, it was just a terrible fit. I came up
really?
here. It seems like all of our mental health guys and stuff, they're willing to take the mile, as far as helping our vets, not just talking to them, but
Right.
actually seeing what's going on in their lives.
Right.
Are you having financial problems? Are you having this kind of issue or whatever? And he tries to identify that. At least a lot of the guys up here do. So
Yeah, and the social workers that are at the clinics too, they are there to help with a lot of stuff, and they actually have that training that helps them take it further than we can. Like we do a step and then they do a step, and sometimes it's overwhelming to have to do all these things and talk to all these people.
yeah, big time.
But like I just want people to know like we do care, and we want to just get you started and make sure you're going the right way, and we're not ever trying to pawn you off, because we're just trying to do the part we need to in the puzzle, because it's sometimes it can be overwhelming, and especially when they come in and they are struggling at that time, it's so we do care. We welcome anybody to come in, and we've heard that from like Nicole that was here last week, and a few different veterans have said, we want you to feel welcome, and it's nice to know that people are saying that they do when they come in without us saying that.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, I hate using the word safe space because it seems a little soy to me, but but in reality, this is like when I first started in this office, this place gave me the comfort that I needed. It was weird. Like, Brandon, Olivia at the time was still here, Jesse, and everybody was like welcoming and everything else. Not, I've been to other offices.
You're not judged here.
Went to offices in Florida and got, told, oh yeah, we'll go ahead and put the claims in and everything else. And that never happened.
Yeah.
Never was that kind of. It didn't feel like family. Whereas in this, even at the Gaylord Seabach, it feels like your family, which is crazy. It's definitely gotten a lot better in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and it's nice too, because I heard from and this has happened more than once. So a veteran that came in and they were just having a very difficult time, like I was worried about, and they're like, I'm supposed to talk to so and so over at there, and I'm like, okay, I know who that is. They're going to help you, and they are reliable. It's almost like there's a trust. They have to earn the trust, and when when they come and ask us about it, like, yes, you can trust that person is going to help you do the next thing.
Right.
So I know it's hard, and
it just takes that first step, though.
It does.
I didn't want to do it either, especially the PTSD stuff. You just don't want to bring up old stuff, or
right.
And then you're like, my ankle, having to go to like 2 different exams for that, and it just sometimes you feel like giving up, but once you start the road,
it's redundant.
We develop the plan for you, and we move forward on the plan, and as long as you follow it, things happen. You just got to stick it out. That's the biggest thing, is sticking out the claims. A lot of guys don't want to do it. They whether it's they get a denial or something like that, and they just I'm done. I'm over this. I'm not going to do it again. But I don't know how many times we put in appeals, or we put in higher level review or something like that, and all of a sudden, boom, they got it, and then they're thankful. But we're thankful because they stick it out. You know what I mean? 'Cause it's a lot of work, and we want it. We get excited for claims just as much as the veteran does. It's the weirdest thing. But when we get those, especially if it's 100%, everybody's happy as heck. But it's just
right.
Even if it's one that's like a 10% that they've been working on for like 10 years, and then we get it up to 20 or 30%.
And when there is something actually wrong, like this happened in service, and like. We aren't ever trying to like, hey, we don't want to try to service connect something that obviously isn't, or that isn't
right.
If the veteran doesn't know or think that it happened in service, or sometimes though people don't know, like with sinus issues, for instance, or some didn't know, like I didn't know diabetes was a Agent Orange
Yeah, I never knew that
presumptive
before.
till I came here.
Yep.
So we want to make sure that we rule out things, but also we want to be ethical and make sure, so we'll talk about all the stuff. And that, the ethical part too is like, hey, we can listen to all the stuff you want to tell us, but you got to go do this again with somebody. And sometimes it gets to be exhausting for the veteran, and we don't want them to be discouraged. Like, but I just told you all the stuff.
Right.
We still need the diagnosis, like
Yep.
the official one, because they're like, no, I don't want to do that. After they told you all this stuff, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, come on. But it's okay. It's their decision ultimately.
Yep.
But I wanted to be clear about, that kind of thing. 'Cause
Absolutely.
I've seen it happen.
It
But
does.
Brandon's right. Yeah. We're not going to discourage them from talking about it.
Yep.
And we actually all three of us like doing this and like to help people. And
I do like the battle or the like in the Navy we call them sea stories, but I do like I like the fact that you get to know somebody and you get to know them on a personal level. Sometimes it's very personal.
yeah.
We develop relationships with some of our vets as far as like like Ron and going fishing with Ron and doing all these other fun things like
Yeah.
it's things have changed quite a bit, I think, as far as the spectrum is concerned, as far as veterans getting help, and getting in seats. I feel like the stigma of being forced to go through some of the stuff it's gotten a lot better. The mental health part to me has gotten so much better because
Seems like it.
they're not dismissing you like they used to. When I first started my claims process like 15 years ago down in Florida, that was one of the biggest things. I felt like I was dismissed all the freaking time. Like, oh, I'm sorry, you got to go to work, or I'm sorry, you got to work as a VSO kind of thing.
Right.
I saw that a lot.
Yeah.
And that's discouraging. Now that I'm a VSO, it's like you look back and you're like, dang, man.
That was that person.
They're good guys, but man, they're definitely just not doing their job, and that happens. I mean, you're gonna see that everywhere. I mean, but I'm glad what we have is we have a solid family network, honestly, here. So
yeah, and it's good when people know, like, we do actually care. You can come here and ask us. You can ask us what's going on with your claim. Of course, we're trying our best to get a lot done, but you can remind us or ask us. And I've told people that, like, it might take some time to get these in, just because we have to get medical documentation, all that stuff.
or we need that
whatever.
reminder, because we got 35 cases going on at the same time, and we can't remember every single detail of every case. Sometimes we need that brain spark, which all three of us do that to each other all the time. We're like, hey, do you remember this or whatever? Oh yeah. And then that's how we remember sometimes, because
and we're not ever like offended or you're never an inconvenience to us. It's our job, and we like and we like it, and we need reminders too. Like, we're human beings, but we're not ever mad that you call and ask us.
Tell you, I get mad. I feel bad that I forget names and faces sometimes. Like, my problem is I can remember a face all day long. I just can't remember names sometimes.
Right.
Short-term memory loss.
And we do have a lot of similar names up here, because
living in that. And
we're in a rural area with mostly Caucasian people with a lot of the same first names and similar last names that are kind of common too sometimes, and we don't want to get it wrong, so we always have to double check.
That's a big one. Is the big family names
too.
Around here.
There's a lot.
We'll get a couple of them, and you're just like, okay. And then you come, which was really cool. I do love this part. So like where you'll help a vet and you look at their last name and you're like, wait a minute, and come to find out like 3 of their brothers or a couple of their family members were vets too. Yeah. So now I've actually had where I've taken care of a father. Come to find out his son was previous service Afghanistan. Never had any service-connected disabilities, but by talking to his father, I was able to identify that veteran, and that veteran came in, and we ended up getting him 90%.
Yeah,
and it was
good.
just like awesome. It's cool that we have that small town thing, but at
the
same time, it can get really confusing.
Yeah, we have to make sure we're looking at the right stuff for the right person, and but we never look at our veterans as an inconvenience ever. We might say like, hey, You've emailed me like 20 times. Please, like, I'm working on your stuff, but, you know, I mean, we'd say that with all, you know, and we're very forthright with our veterans too, without, you know, we just never want you to think that you're not important.
Nope.
So,
And family, come on in.
Yeah. With whatever you need, and financial applications, if you need emergency help.
Yeah.
We got to remind people sometimes, yes, you can ask us.
So part of me wants to talk about that too,
Yeah,
by the
a
way.
little more.
The MVTF thing kind of irked my taters.
Yeah, Michigan Veterans Trust Fund, by the way, if anyone doesn't know what that is.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
storm came through,
Yeah.
and I kept seeing Facebook posts through MVAA, bunch of other different ones. I think MVAA took theirs down, but
Yeah.
a bunch of posts about Michigan Veterans Trust Fund, and the picture on it to click on the link was a roof with a tree on top of it. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm probably going to expect a couple MVTF packages. Well, Brandon called down to Lansing to see what was going on with it and how it could be used. And apparently because we went into a state of emergency, that MVTF program cannot be used for roof repair and stuff like that because of the state of emergency thing.
So they have to use state of emergency funding of some sort through DHS, or
That
I think it's through the state, maybe.
probably the state level or something,
but
like
not
that.
veterans state level.
Yeah,
through
I was thinking
Okay.
like, why would there's
Yeah.
some legal reasons of some sort.
the way they allocate money and
Yep.
funding is very specific. So it makes sense, but it is frustrating.
But I don't discourage it though, because MVTF is a great program to use.
Oh yeah.
We have our County Veteran Relief Fund, which emulates the same program, as far as our board's approval and everything else. There's, and of course, VIC and a bunch of other people out there too. So,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, there is help out there for anybody that's, listening right now. If you think
Yeah.
that, there has to be an emergent need that's unforeseen, and by granting the grant itself, it'll absolve the situation and the veteran won't have to keep coming back to use the program. You know what I mean?
It's meant as a help, like a boost to get you out of a bad situation, not a continuous, which sometimes that's difficult to get that point across. But always ask. Do not be afraid to ask us. Don't be ashamed to come and ask. And sometimes these are step-by-step things with some veterans where they might be having a difficult time with many things at once. They come in here. We get them started with a claim and get them to, Gaylord Seabach, and then tell them, okay, once you're ready, or we're going to contact you or vice versa. We want to make sure all the steps get followed, but it sometimes takes some time.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's an emergency grant situation involved too. So, we don't want you to think it's one-time thing that you can't come back for other stuff. So.
No. Yeah, there's rules. There's lots of them. I know there's a lifetime limit. There's a certain things they won't pay for, like me, I had thank God for Veterans in Crisis. I had to use them last year, and I don't even, Rob Donnell and all the team, I don't know what else to say, that they're probably one of the best around, that really helps vets. But everybody has rough times, and everybody can use the help sometimes, and it's there to use, multiple times if you need to. I think I've probably used the program twice. Just bad things have happened or whatever. But then there's also there's certain things it won't pay for, like brakes. Who would have thought? But it's considered, if it's a maintenance kind of part, they won't cover that. But there's so many other things that will cover too. We just found out teeth. That was
it can be.
It could be a thing.
It's very strict, but it can be something they could help with MVTF.
Yeah.
But and I guess the whole point of our podcast today is like, we're here to help you as a veteran. If you don't know what to do or where to go or who to ask us, and we at least will point you in the right direction.
Yep. And even if we don't know, we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, or
we're good at
get
doing
you
that.
Started, and we're also, it's nice right here. We're right next door to so the state of Michigan actually has the Department of Health and Human Services in our building, right next door to us. So we work with them and talk to them often, and it's nice that we can say, hey, now you can go right next door here and get this form or whatever, and ask about stuff. So.
And the gals over there are amazing.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Talk to them all the time. You know, multiple vets have gone over there to get help, and especially for propane. I know that's a big one. So. Yeah. Well,
all right.
I think it's a Friday.
Yeah, it is. It's
I
right
digress.
before Easter.
We're sitting here going around in circles, but Brandon had an appointment and had to come in, so he couldn't make the end of the podcast. But we just want to thank everybody for listening, and please like, share, and support our podcast.
Yeah.
The only way this gets better is the more people that hear us, you know. So
yeah, and then we can help more veterans, and that's the whole point. We don't gain anything other than helping everybody that comes in here.
Absolutely.
So, which is a good thing.
Well, Antrim County, I hope everybody has a wonderful Easter and has a good time with their family, and we'll see you guys Monday morning.